Hey, Jason.
Howdy, Benson.
So how are things with you down in Cincinnati?
They're okay. The condo is now all dried out from the flood, and the general and I are glad to be back home. How are things up in Columbus?
Oh, I can't complain. If I know my allergies are telling me spring's finally settling in up here.
About damn time for spring.
Yep. Anyway, I was calling because it looks like we got a question about our Soundwriting Pedagogies chapter, English via the Airwaves. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay, let me play it for you.
One question I found myself returning to while listening to this chapter relates to the public circulation of student work. Given the historical and contemporary reactions to, for example, women's voices on the air, on podcasts, or just generally in public, what work needs to be done in the classroom beyond the "you've come a long-ish way, baby" assignment to help prepare students for potential negative reactions that they might receive? What work needs to be done in public to help audiences listen more inclusively?
Wow, that's a great question.
So, do you have any thoughts on this? What are some of the ways we can help make the classroom a safer space for exploring these potential negative reactions?
I think this starts by being mindful of the voices we choose to showcase when we share models or mentor texts of audio production. We need to dial down the volume on white cis het dudes and do more to showcase digital audio by a wider range of voices.
Absolutely. For example, we could start a digital audio unit by having students listen to an intersectional feminist podcast like Not Your Mama's Gamer, to name just one example. That one is produced by computers and writing scholar Samantha Blackman. And I imagine to those ends, it might be important not only to present students with examples culled from outside the classroom, but also to engage them in production exercises where different kinds of voices and vocal performances are emphasized. And since they're working on these projects together with their peers, it could be one way of fostering a greater sense of empathy in the classroom.
Absolutely. And more empathy is something we all need right now. And in addition to centering a diverse range of cisgender women's voices, we also need to teach students that gender is a complex spectrum, and that it's impossible to tell what gender a person identifies with just by listening to how their voice sounds. Though, of course, you can and should listen to what people say about their own gender identities and pronouns. By the way, since you can't just tell by listening to me talk, I identify as gender fluid, and I'm personally okay with they, them, he, him, or just avoiding pronouns altogether.
Gotcha. And I identify as a cisgender dude, he, him, his.
Noted. Anyway, so I think it's crucial in our classes not just to feature voices of cis women, but to also center audio work made by a wide range of transgender and genderqueer people too. There's so much great work out there, but a couple of places to start might be the Gender Rebels podcast or the Marsha's Plate podcast.
That's a good point. It's one way of helping students become more aware of restrictive and harmful stereotypes, helping them become more accustomed to different voices. But what about this part of the question, asking about preparing students for possible negative reactions and promoting inclusive listening among public audiences?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, sometimes we can get so excited about telling students all the ways they might use social media to circulate their audio work that we forget to discuss the ways in which makers of feminist digital media often face harassment and even violence when their work circulates online. We need to not only talk about these risks, but also discuss tactics of resistance and needed policy changes. We're running out of time here, but I highly recommend scholarship by Bridget Gelms and Lee Gruel on this topic, both of whom in their writing and in their time as former graduate students at Miami got me thinking much more deeply about this issue.
Oh yeah, I know them. I met both of them at the Miami Four Seas party.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's not forget that we are part of the public as well. If we're at all serious about promoting cultures of inclusive listening, we should support the kinds of audio production that we'd like to hear more of. Hell
yes. And if you want to check out any of the resources we mentioned, just hop on the links in our transcript.
Well, look at that. It sounds like the general has decreed that we are done talking. I guess we pretty much answered it, huh?
Yeah, I think so. At least enough for a busy April day.
All right, then let me let you go, Jason.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.